We can tell you firsthand, since we've been here observing it the whole time, at this Cathedral of St. Philip in the Buckhead neighborhood in Atlanta, things are going very smoothly. It was very crowded when the day began. 50 people rushed in to vote. Relatively quiet now, but don't think that's because of apathy. It's the contrary. Here in Fulton County, the largest county in the state, 390,000 above that number. That's the 390,000 or more voted early. And to put that into some kind of context, that 390,000 number is about 75% of the total votes from the presidential general election in November. So people here are very eager to vote. Everyone we're talking to, all the voters coming in, all very aware of President Trump's telephone conversation with the Georgia Secretary of State criticizing Georgia voting, criticizing voting here in Fulton County. The very first person to cast a ballot today was the chairman of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and I asked him about what the president said.
It's a little irritating to wake up and to hear people at the highest positions in the country talking, saying negative things about Fulton County when I know for a fact that it's not true, because if it were true, I would be on top of it and would have put a stop to it. It just did not happen in Fulton County.
Here's an interesting aside for you. To come in and vote, you know, we're all wearing masks, obviously, and we haven't seen anyone come in without masks. The poll workers have masks all day, today, and in November all across the country. These poll workers are genuine American heroes. But here in Fulton County and elsewhere, there's no rule that you have to wear a mask to vote. If you don't want to wear a mask, they're told not to say anything about it. If you want to bring your pet in here, your dog, your cat, your goldfish, you're allowed to do that. They just want people to vote. Jim and Poppy.
Gary Tuchman, it's good to see a big turnout. Hopefully people do wear the masks and keep it safe. Thanks very much. We want to go to Savannah, Georgia now. Voting underway there. It's where we find our colleague Martin Savage. Good morning, Martin. Democrats hoping to repeat success that they found in Chatham County in November, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, Poppy. Chatham County is, especially Savannah, the city of Savannah, where we're located just outside the Civic Center now, is one of those heavy Democratic areas. Just to give you an idea, it's the hometown of Reverend Raphael Warnock, one of the candidates that are running for the Senate. And then also the mayor of Savannah was one of the electors that voted.
Okay, this is boring. Election needle is not going to be up until a while. Nate Cohn says, are there any hard Georgia turnout numbers this afternoon? I'm assuming I'm correctly interpreting the data on the below side, and thanks to Kevin Q for a clutch scrape. Seems like there's 37.5 thousand ballots in DeKalb, which would seem to put it on pace to approach or exceed the general election day tally. Now, from what I understand, 100,000 additional registrations have occurred that did not literally register to vote for the 2020 election. So that is actually an interesting statistic to keep in mind when you're thinking about the election. The hopes are, and I will give you the top-down, somewhat reductive summary of what we're looking for, okay? I don't care how to say decab, okay? Decab, ACAB, shut the fuck up. 40% of the 100,000, or is it 40%? A decent chunk of the 100,000 new voters are black, okay? That did not vote in 2020, but are now voting in this, or at least registered to vote in this election. So do with that information what you will, okay? The top line approach to this entire election is this. Jon Ossoff and radical liberal Reverend Raphael Warnock have done a pretty solid job of using the 2K Cash Act and direct payments as a legislative line item. If you want 2K, you got to vote for the Democrats. That's what they basically said. And Donald Trump delivered a beautiful gift to the Democratic Party and this race by also claiming that he was going to potentially veto the omnibus proposal. He didn't end up following through on it, but it doesn't matter. That became a big talking point for the Democrats to say, look, we've been trying to do this, but Trump is the one, or not Trump, but Mitch McConnell is the one who is stopping this from happening. So that was a wonderful gift that Donald Trump gave to the Democrats, and Ossoff and Warnock have utilized that for a while. There's also another secondary wonderful gift that Donald Trump has given to the Democratic Party there, and that is consistently and constantly talking about election integrity. talking about how the elections might be fraudulent or the elections are fraudulent ends up potentially suppressing voter turnout. Now, we don't know what the impact of that is going to be like, but given that this is a race within the margins, that's anything helps. Any bit helps. Any 1,000 number of people that say, you know what, fuck this, I'm not voting for this. Like in the same district that Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, Marjorie Taylor Greene voted, or the same district that voted for Marjorie Taylor Greene, the QAnon mom, the CrossFit sicko, has seen lower levels of voter participation, lower levels of turnout. Now, that might mean that people are straight up waiting to vote on election day itself. Or that might mean that people are just like not that interested. They're tuned out. They're tapped out because their main man, Donald Trump, lost. You know the GOP is going to win in Georgia. Most people are stupid, hateful bags of trash. I don't disagree with you on that one. I'm just giving you what my point of view is and what I know so far of the Georgia races. If you asked me a month ago, I would have said, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think the Democrats are going to win. But these last couple of weeks have been kind of interesting. There's another incredibly important piece here that you need to take into consideration, and that is Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams has been diligently working on increasing turnout, specifically in the African American community in Georgia, since before her gubernatorial race. Her theory of organizing revolves around not just organizing before an election or leading up to an election, but organizing year-round. So that's actually a very successful method, a very successful strategy that she's been able to bring some big Democratic donors, even including Michael Bloomberg, for example, on board with. And that is good. Black voters make up 33% of the electorate, or the voter eligible population in Georgia. Even if the Dems win both, which I hope is true, I would bet every bit I have on Joe Manchin going mask off and becoming a Republican and fucking everyone so we can keep his seat in the coming years. Certainly. But, again, that is, as a progressive, that is an infinitely better position for progressives. Why is that a better position for progressives? Because then you can literally say blue dog Democrats are fucking cowards and they're liars and they do not vote with us. They do not caucus with us. Stop shitting on the progressive Democrats. Start shitting on the fucking centrist Democrats. Okay? That is the real hashtag force the vote. Showing that the Democratic Party and the conservatives in the Democratic Party are not on board with the rest of the Democratic Party, or not on board with the Democratic voters, is essential. If Republicans maintain their majority over the Senate, and if Mitch McConnell still controls the Senate, then Democrats can constantly say, oh, we wanted to do progressive change, but oh, well, we can't because we have to work with the Republicans. And they're still going to do that regardless. But I would rather have them do that while there is Democratic control over the Senate than have them do that while there is no control over the Senate and they can very easily just say, oh, it's the Republicans' fault. Remember, that is, even if you are a progressive, that is a really, really important reason as to why you should want the Democrats to win these two races. Okay? That's just the reality. But never forget how racist Georgians can be. After all, a black radical pastor is running. And if he wins, he will be, is it the 10th or the 11th African American senator? Like, that's crazy, dude. Just think about that. 11. There's only been 10 black senators so far, motherfucker. 10. He would be the 11th. Think about that. So, Obabe, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, 3 out of 10 right there. Yup. So just remember that when Kamala was only the second black woman in the Senate. Remember that when people say, like, America is not a white supremacist nation. A lot of them were during the brief period of Reconstruction, too. Yup. Like, when people say, like, America's not a racist nation, bro, like, dude, come on, dude. Like, come the fuck on. That's not 10 out of 100. That's 10 out of thousands throughout the history of the Senate. Anyway, 70% of white Georgians voted Purdue. Blacks are like what? 20% of the population? Okay. That argument doesn't favor you, you dumb racist fuck. They're 13% of the population. Blacks are 13% of the population, but they don't make up 13% of all fucking senators. Historically, you dumb, stupid fuck. So, what's up? If there was proportional representation, they wouldn't make up literally 0.1% of like all Senate seats historically. You dumb, stupid, brain dead loser. You stupid fucking racist. Holy shit. The U.S. political system isn't representational, you moron. Wait, I never said it is. I never said it is, but he was the one who was trying to make it seem like it should be. Dude, listen. Whenever I see someone say blacks in the chat, it's the same as like whenever I see people say Hassan with 2 S's. It's like, bitch, you know better. But you're saying that, and it's kind of sus. And half the time, the follow-through immediately confirms my suspicion. You know my name has 1 S. I won't stress it all the time, but you know that name has 1 S. It's literally plastered all over your fucking screen. But you go through the effort and add an extra S in there to be like, I don't care. I don't care. Actual number of senators historically is 1,311. Triggered? Yeah, dude. I'm so triggered, dude. Are you triggered? So why don't you go yell about like Funko Pops existing or something? Fucking weirdo. Like it's like 2016 or some shit. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers be out here like, triggered much? Hoo-hoo. I, sir, deserve a Reddit gold. I just owned the SJW. Oh, troll face. You mad? What are you, like, 60 years old? Is the last time? Your last point of reference for memes is 9gag, dude? Get the fuck out of here, you old bitch. Early exits similar to November electorate. GOP showing 39%, Democrats at 36%, and independents at 25%. According to Manu Raju, senior congressional correspondent for CNN. Again, exit polls are not indicative of anything for that matter, but Large Spider is one of the offline chat chuds. Wait. I have chuds in my offline chat? Really? That's so weird. They simply have to remove the illegal votes. The left is in meltdown. Illegal, paying money for votes. GA is red regardless of their fraud. America's a young nation. Someone jumping to conclusion. Triggered. We keep them as a pet. I didn't know we had fucking actual like Republicans in the offline chat. Dude, that's funny. Offline chat, pet the chud. That's great. Love it. DeKalb is one of my top choices for where we'd have this data. Is extremely democratic, and we're mainly interested in high election day turnout insofar as it helps the GOP. So one could spin it both ways, but it does indicate a fairly healthy election day turnout. DeKalb election day turnout approaching 46K. If these figures are accurate, putting it on track to surpass the general. The big question, of course, is whether this simply augurs a big D turnout, as this is a very democratic candidate, or a big election day turnout, the key to the GOP winning. The DeKalb election day turnout now is at 47,000, surpassing the number of ballots cast on election day in the presidential contest. Holy shit. More people in fucking DeKalb County have voted on election day for this runoff than they did for the general election. That is not what happens in runoffs. The entire purpose of runoff races is literally to lower turnout, which will oftentimes favor Republicans. Now, Donald Trump has changed the game significantly with his turnout strategy, which actually worked. The white rural voter election turnout strategy that actually did end up panning out well for the Republicans. So we really don't know. I don't know if this means that it's like straight the fuck up good for Democrats. Apparently the votes in DeKalb were in the highest Republican parts of DeKalb. It is up to Dunwoody that is hard Republican in DeKalb. Do you think that Democrats will show up today because of GOP fraud BS, canceling all early votes fake? No, because the Democrats have... I think Georgia's going to do a Texas. Why are people on the left shitting on progressives in Congress now? Don't listen to them. It doesn't matter. What is this? This reply is gold. Kyle Cashew, conservatives in Georgia vote. Wait, I thought we were boycotting the election. Yeah, I don't think they are. I don't think they're boycotting, brother. Georgia is not nearly as bad as Texas. I mean, voter suppression wise, Texas is unique. Like, it's worse than Georgia. But Georgia's pretty fucking bad. And also, Georgia is pretty fucking racist, too. So, you gotta remember, I'm in Utah for the winter. I request my absentee ballot on the first day of December, and I haven't received it still. Yeah. Lawyer on the call with Trump resigns. Cleta Mitchell, the attorney Trump repeatedly cut off during his contentious call with Georgia's Secretary of State, has resigned from her law firm. The firm, Foley and Lardner, initially said it was concerned with her involvement with the call. Okay, this stuff is boring and just ridiculous. Let's see what the fuck's going on here.
We'll be watching every step of the way.
An hour and 30 minutes remaining,
let's go
folks.
to Georgia right now. Some of our correspondents are there on the ground. They're watching all of this very closely. Seeing as Amara Walker is in Atlanta for us right now. So what are you seeing, Amara, from your vantage point?
Well, we just got an update from Gabriel Sterling, the voting implementation systems manager, and he said, look, voting has been light, it's been steady, things have been going quite smoothly, but he said it's not necessarily an indication of low voter turnout. In fact, it just might mean that poll workers have become more efficient, and of course, the ballot this time around is shorter than what we saw on November 3rd. As for election day turnout, he says he hopes to see between 600,000 to 1.1 million people turn out today to vote for the Senate runoff. It'll take a couple of days, he says, to know the final results of the election, and the first flood of the results should come in between 7:30 and 9 o'clock tonight, and that is because the absentee ballots are allowed to be processed 15 days before the election, county by county. One thing to keep in mind, however, Gabriel Sterling mentioned this. He said, look, there are 17,000 outstanding ballots from the military and from people overseas that have until Friday to come in. So if we're talking about 2 or 1 close race here, those ballots could make the difference come Friday. Wolf?
Every vote counts. Amara, stand by. I want to go to CNN's Nick Valencia. He's joining us from Decatur, Georgia right now. So what are you seeing over there? I know a lot of people are really anxious in these final minutes to vote.
That's right, Wolf. A significant development here just in the last few minutes in DeKalb County. We just got on the phone with the spokeswoman who tells us that DeKalb County has now surpassed all of the in-person voting that it saw during the general election in November. As of 5:22, there's been 51,000 people that have voted in person in DeKalb County, and that's with 90 minutes left to go, or just about 90 minutes till the polls close. In November, Wolf, that was 47,561. So already about 3,000 more have voted in DeKalb County. Why is that important? Because if you remember, DeKalb County and Fulton County, which encompasses Metro Atlanta, was huge in giving a decided victory here for Joe Biden, turning the state blue. The spokeswoman also tells us that they've caught up with absentee ballots so far. That should be sent over to the Secretary of State about 7:01 as soon as polls close. And they say the voting has been pretty scattered equally across the precincts. Some have seen as much as 600 people coming out to vote. Some precincts as small as 90 people have gone out to vote. But a lot is riding on the line tonight. Polls close at 7 p.m. Eastern. Wolf?
Yep, they will be closing very soon. Nick, stand by very much. I want to go over to David Chalian, who's watching all of this very closely. David Chalian, you're getting some more exit poll results.
Yeah, again, preliminary exit polls. These numbers will change throughout the night. But one of the things that we were asking about is the importance of containing the coronavirus. Take a look here, and you will see which is more important to do now. 52% of the electorate in Georgia said containing coronavirus is more important than the 42% that said rebuilding the economy. It's about what it was in November, but a slight bit more saying containing coronavirus is more important. Has the coronavirus pandemic caused you financial hardship? This is where you see why Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue backed Donald Trump's push for those $2,000 stimulus checks. Take a look here. 15% have experienced severe financial hardship. Add that to the 39% who say they've had moderate financial hardship. That's a majority of the Georgia voters in these runoffs saying that they're experiencing economic pain due to the coronavirus pandemic. 44% say no financial hardship at all. And then with the growing cases of COVID that are out there, we asked, how concerned are you that people, your members of your family, will contract coronavirus? Look at that. Nearly 2/3 of the electorate in these runoffs, 68%, are very or somewhat worried that they or a family member will contract coronavirus, compared to 31% not too worried, not at all worried. Wolf?
Yeah, well, everybody should be worried.
That literally tracks with like Trump support on the. Trump has maintained a stable 30% support, and his supporters are literally like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about it at all. Like, how the fuck are there 31% of people in the country that still think that, like, they don't give a shit about COVID?
The rate of COVID in these counties across America. And let's just go to the state of Georgia as we look at this and look at all this red. I mean, COVID is everywhere. It is across America. We're in the middle right now of the fall into the winter peak and the surge. But just look at all this red, and look especially where it is. It is everywhere in Georgia, which was at the forefront of the reopening debate. Governor Kemp siding with President Trump back then. They're rivals right now, you might say, in some ways, and reopening early. But look in rural Georgia, the deepest red a lot in Trump country. That's why you see those numbers so hard. Everybody is being hit by this. Everybody is seeing either the personal health care effect or the economic effect of this, because as the months have gone on, COVID is everywhere. And again, it's changing how people are voting. That's why we're seeing all these mail-in ballots. That's why we're seeing in-person early voting. And Wolf, right now, again, Georgia is going through what the entire country is going through. This is hospitalizations. Let me stretch this out a little bit. Remember,
that's the real red wave, brother. COVID.
The summer surge was horrific, right? Georgia,
red
Florida,
like
Arizona,
communism,
California,
brother. Communist China virus.
We thought that was horrific. Look Look at this hospitalizations. Monday, more than 5,500 Georgians hospitalized with COVID-19. And look at the trend lines. They keep going up. That's hospitalizations. Let me move that over here. And again, as people vote today, as they think about what do they want in Washington? Do they want Joe Biden to have a Democratic Senate so that he can get more done? Do they want the Republicans there to put a bridge on Joe Biden? One of the factors is this. This is just happening. This is not normally what we would think of as a political issue, but it just is. Look at the rising case count here, and let me stretch it out so you can get a better look at it. Again, Georgia largely spared back in March when we went through this. Then the summer surge that we thought was horrific, including in Georgia. Just look at this, 8,000 cases. 8,000 cases plus on average every day. So as people vote today, as they think about what they want in Washington, let me just flip these away and look at this. Georgia, like everywhere in America, well, forget red and blue. This pain is everywhere. Democrat, Republican, rural, suburban, exurban. It's horrific.
Yeah, I suspect some people didn't want to vote in person today because they didn't want to go in those lines, especially older voters out there. John, stand by. The final push to turn out the vote in Georgia is underway right now before the polls close in the crucial Senate runoff. So we're going to talk live with the Democrat and voting rights activist Stacey Abrams. That's just ahead.
I firmly believe Democrats will win both seats, and good because the alternative is a literal Klansman. What? No, I don't think. It doesn't matter. She's still a fucking racist she's a Republican. It doesn't matter if she's a Klansman or not. And no, she's not a Klansman. She does LARP alongside Klansmen, though. Klansmen. GA-related vids. Oh, here. Georgia voters brace for the end of the fiery runoff to decide the Senate balance
The battle
of
for
power.
those two Georgia Senate seats has been heated and often ugly in recent weeks. High stakes as Democrats and Republicans vie for control of the Senate. So our Steve Osunsami, who's based in Atlanta, gives us a closer look now at what's been driving the race and whether it will drive voters.
Did I vote in Georgia? Yeah, illegally. And 10 times.
The polls.
While the political circus that has surrounded the November election became more avoidable for many Americans a week after they voted, it continues to grind on for voters in Georgia who will choose 2 U.S. senators on Tuesday.
Tomorrow is Georgia's day.
And in the process, decide whether Republicans or Democrats control the U.S. Senate.
Everything is at stake. Everything is at stake.
The political attack ads from both sides are to this very moment inescapable in Georgia.
That's their goal. Total radical control to bring horrific change to America.
On television, on the radio.
Bro, horrific change, dude. You know, horrific change. Like, what will be the horrific change? Big exit poll. What is this? CBS News Georgia runoff exit poll early data. Do you think the 2020 presidential election in Georgia was conducted fairly? Yes. No. We already saw this. Containing the COVID, 52%. Rebuilding the economy now, even if it hurts the efforts to contain, 42%. Yeah, exit polls are bullshit. Reminder, but the early exit polls are saying no. Even though the exit polls are showing things that are positive for the Democrats right now, that is not all that meaningful.
Every phone in the state.
If you want some of Senator Perdue's time, you got to pay for it.
Even to get to the new Taylor Swift video on YouTube, you have to first sit through a campaign ad if you're watching from a screen in Georgia. So many here are sick of it, all the fighting and name-calling. On this side, Senator David Perdue, who's self-quarantining tonight after being exposed to the coronavirus. He's called his opponent, Democrat Jon Ossoff, a
communist Jew. I said it. He's Jewish. Have you noticed? He admitted it in a debate. Georgians.
communist and a job killer who he says plans to bankrupt Medicare.
The choice.
When we made his nose larger in our advertisement, we wanted to know. We wanted to let everybody know that we were doing racial stereotypes. But then he himself admitted it on stage, folks. A little anti-Semitic, don't you think? Yeah, it was literally anti-Semitic when he fucking made Jon Ossoff's nose larger on a campaign ad. Yes, that actually happened. All Republicans say we rigged the election, but didn't Trump try and add fake votes to the Georgia Senate election?
The choice in this race is between going to a socialist state that they're trying to describe and freedom.
Ossoff has called Perdue a coward and a crook, saying that Perdue argued against the...
Kelly Loeffler made radical liberal Reverend Raphael Warnock's skin darker. They made Warnock blacker, and they fucking photoshopped Ossoff's nose to make it seem larger. Just remember that.
Science during the COVID crisis, but then traded COVID-related stocks. Perdue keeps saying that he's done nothing wrong.
It's not just that you're a crook, Senator. It's that you're attacking the health of the people that you represent.
In the other race, Senator Kelly Loeffler, one of the owners of the WNBA Atlanta Dream and one of the wealthiest lawmakers in American history, who says that her opponent, Reverend Raphael Warnock, is out of touch with Georgia voters because he's, quote, a radical liberal.
In January, I have one of the most radical opponents on the Democrat ticket in the whole country, in Raphael Warnock.
College students who were watching this debate were playing drinking games with how many times she used the phrase.
Radical liberal, radical liberal, radical liberal, Raphael Warnock. You've just heard radical liberal Raphael Warnock lie again.
She said it 13 times in that one evening.
So she's continued to misrepresent my record. She's lied not only on me, but on Jesus.
Loeffler's campaign has taken clips from the Reverend's sermons and used them to say that he's anti-police, anti-military, and anti-Semitic.
Nobody can serve God and the military.
Raphael Warnock attacks our military.
Warnock is the pastor of the church that was led by Dr. Martin Luther King, and he fought back with video of Loeffler standing at the pulpit in the same church, clearly unoffended by the pastor sitting nearby, a preacher who she now repeatedly describes as the most radical and dangerous candidate in America. The attacks have lit a fire under black voters who feel that Loeffler has crossed a line. A group of black pastors wrote her an open letter telling her to stop, writing that we see your attacks against Warnock as a broader attack against the black church and faith traditions for which we stand. The tenor has brought racists out of hiding who've now flooded the phone lines of this historic black church with racist messages and recordings.
That son of a said Trump supporters going to be beaten so bad they can't walk. That ain't a man of God. That's a...
They literally said, like, beaten electorally. And that wasn't even Warnock who said it. It was Ossoff who said it. And it was very clear that they were talking about the election and not, like, literally beating them up. It's John Ossoff. He's like a regular staple neoliberal. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, you're so evil. Evil, evil, evil, evil, evil. The evilest pastor I've ever seen.
Georgia has a runoff system where if a candidate...
Yeah, it's like that fucking meme where it's the King of the Hill meme, but it's like Bobby holding up that sign outside of the classroom, and then the other person saying like, oh, they'd be real angry if they knew how to read. It's literally that meme, okay? It's straight up. These people, if they knew how to read, they'd be so mad, dude. Except they're mad because they don't know how to read. And that is their greatest advantage. Because the greatest advantage for the Republicans is that, like, you know, literacy levels are fucking bottom of the barrel. No more King of the... Dude, okay, you've been fucking annoying me all goddamn day. You feel me? No more King of the Hill references, dude. Done. I'm done with you. Fuck you, dude.
Candidate for office doesn't win 50% of the vote. The top two candidates face off again in a runoff election. If it weren't for the runoff, Warnock would have won in November and Ossoff would have lost. Polls put the race as even tonight, and more than 3 million Georgians have already voted, which is fewer than the number who voted in November, but a far larger turnout than what's typical for a runoff election. What's also telling, turnout in early voting and the mail-in vote so far appears higher in the blue counties in and around Atlanta, where most of the state's residents live.
Georgia patriots must show up and vote.
The incredibly large shadow over this election is coming from this man, the President of the United States, who has been refusing to accept the truth that he lost the election in Georgia in November by a slim margin of nearly 12,000 votes. This is a state with a Republican governor, and the Secretary of State who runs the elections in Georgia is not only a Republican, but a Trump supporter who was endorsed for office by the president himself. Now the president can't stand the guy because he's refusing to overturn the election results over allegations of widespread voter fraud.
Like, it's not like we're watching, you know, some like leftist outlet, dude. But Donald Trump's actions have been so psychotic that like even conservative adjacent ABC News primetime, okay, which is like probably still the most, it's probably still the most popular broadcast in the entire planet, or not in the entire planet, but definitely in America. Like when they are covering the actions that took place accurately, it still comes across as yeah, that was a real American moment for me. I got the bolo tie on, brother. I'm basically saying, you know, American news is the most important news in the planet, brother. You already know it. I thought it was Fox News. No, apparently ABC primetime news is like literally hitting numbers that like you can't even reach on cable news.
With no evidence. State investigations and dozens of court cases haven't found any reason or evidence to cast any doubt on the election results in Georgia.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
And now there's a recorded phone call where the president can be heard trying to pressure Georgia's Secretary of State into finding votes for the president after the election has already been certified.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,000.
Yeah, ABC has 5.7 million, NBC has 4.9 million, Fox only has 4.3 million. So ABC is still the ABC primetime news is still the, I mean, it's not network television, so it's different. Wait, or is ABC network? I thought like Fox has a much larger online presence. Networks and cable ratings aren't in the same category. You're right. Yeah, cable news and network news is different. I think. Or ABC is Disney. I don't know how it's fucking done. OAN is nowhere near that. It literally doesn't matter. Anyway, whatever.
780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
The president has also talked trash about Georgia's Republican lieutenant governor, who has defended the election here. He says the president's phone call was unfortunate.
Do you at all worry that it might hurt their chances tomorrow in any way?
It doesn't help them. I can't think of a single scenario where that phone call for 62 plus minutes made any sort of difference in getting David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler reelected.
Senators Perdue and Loeffler were put in a terrible position. Side with the president or with state Republicans who refuse.
Why is that a terrible position? They don't give a fuck, dude. They just want to win. And they believe that sucking on Donald Trump's toes, sucking the toenail jam under Donald Trump's toes is going to be the only way that they can fucking drive turnout. And that's it. They will fucking get those toe jams, dude. They will suck literally the crusty fucking gooch butter if they have to. Yeah, puke it up, dude.
Used to cave to the pressure. They chose the president.
And I'm still shocked that a member of the Republican Party would tape a sitting president and then leak that. It's disgusting in my view.
President-elect Joe Biden also.
What's the point of siding with the president and ruining your chance if he's out of office in 2 weeks? Because there is no base. Donald Trump is the base. He controls the Republican Party. He controls the base. The actual voters are very different than the interests of the corporate overlords within the Republican Party. They're not just going to go out and vote Republican. They want to go out and vote Republican because Daddy Trump is a Republican now. They love Daddy Trump. They don't just have party loyalty. They also have Trump loyalty. And because this is a race within the margins, like they can't fucking avoid throwing out so many significant votes by alienating Donald Trump. And Trump is straight the fuck up a petty bitch who loves drama. He will literally be like, don't vote for Loeffler. She's bad. Don't vote for her. She's bad. And they will literally, and some of those hogs won't vote for her. And then she's fucked.
Also came to Georgia, and right now, in the eyes of state Democrats, he walks on water. His victory here was something that President Obama was unable to achieve twice, turning Georgia blue.
I know this campaign has been exhausting. It's been intense. It's been nonstop. But I'm asking you to give everything you've got one more day. One more day. And that one more day, this is not hyperbole. You can change America.
It is not lost on Georgia voters in any way that the rest of the country is watching this election closely and that this decision is significant. Every day in the mail, voters here are getting handwritten reminders from voters on other sides of the country. It's an overwhelming amount of attention, and people here can't wait till it ends. For ABC News Live, I'm Steve Osunsami in Atlanta.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
People are saying boycott any Democrats running for office, even if they're progressive. Yeah, who gives a fuck, dude? Like, who cares? Those people are irrelevant. Republicans contend with outrage over Trump call ahead of crucial Senate runoff.
Before the US Senate runoff.
I don't think the fucking call is like all that significant. I don't think that it's significant. It's textbook Trump. He's done shit like that. I mean, this is why he got impeached, dude. He literally got impeached over this exact same shit, where he very clearly in a phone call, or at least the transcripts that we know from the phone call, was like, come on, do me a favor. Look into my opponent and his son. You know what I mean? What up, Dean? So cool. So basically, like, if those guys still ended up voting for him in re-election, and they definitely did in high numbers, why the fuck would they be like, why are you scared to address Jesse Ventura videos on the stream? He cut Chris Kyle and you won't give him the time of day on your stream. He's our one true God. I love Jesse Ventura. What the fuck are you talking about?
Election in Georgia, and the candidates and their party's biggest names are working
I love Jesse Ventura, brother.
Voters to punch their ticket to Washington.
Our country is depending on you. The power is literally in your hands.
More than 3 million people in Georgia have already cast ballots in early voting that took place in December, 1 million more than the total turnout for the last runoff in 2008. The choice is between Republican incumbent Senator Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue and Democratic hopefuls John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
The war for the majority of the Senate comes down to Georgia this year, and we need you, all of us, to stand in that breach.
It looks like y'all ready for an election. Looks like y'all ready to make history.
5 calls or texts a day about voting will keep the liberals away.
It is time to vote like we have never voted before, Georgia.
Each of them has been trying desperately to get their voters to show up at the polls for a second time. Never before has a runoff election in this state meant so much.
It will determine who is in charge of the U.S. Senate, who sets the agenda, who sets the policy.
With control of the Senate on the line, people far away from Georgia are all wound up in the state's business. From the White House,
We're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now.
to Hollywood.
The work isn't done, everybody.
It matters who wins.
Get out and vote.
But it's the outrage over a stunning phone call between the president and Georgia's Secretary of State that's all the talk the night before the election.
I just want to find.
Like, this doesn't, I don't think this hurts the Republicans. Like, I just don't believe, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that there is this, like, moderate Republican out there who is going to be like, yeah, I think this is the final straw. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. I don't think that that's a real person. Like, why the fuck would they care? Why? Why would they care? Why? Why would they care? In the minds of the Trump loyalists, who are the real people that might be depressed from going out and voting, the Trump loyalists see this as yet another instance where their God King, Emperor, who can do no wrong, is literally fighting for reality. They believe that this is reality, that Trump won, and he's fighting no matter what to make sure that that reality happens. So they don't see it as like a desperate man who is very clearly, very desperately be like, come on, give me 11,000 votes. Come on. Can't you find some votes? Come on, come on. They see him as someone who's powerful and fighting for what's right. Okay? They don't see it. Like, they're brainwashed. They're delusional. They're crazy. You are bald. Delma Lurker mostly, but this finally made my dad change his mind. Wait, what the fuck? This is what tipped the scales for your dad? Why the fuck would this tip the scales for your dad? Then why the fuck did, like, Ukraine not tip the scales for your dad? Like, that makes no sense.
11,780 votes.
You hear the president repeatedly asking Brad Raffensperger to give him more votes than Biden's 11,779 vote lead in Georgia in the hour-long call.
Look, Brad, I have to find 12,000 votes, and I have them times a lot. So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes.
Fellas, come on. Give me 11,000 votes. Come on. Yeah, mom's back, and she made me some mujver, which is like a salty pancake. I don't know how to describe it. Very good, though. Anna, what would you say mujver is in English? Anne. Mujver'in İngilizcesi ne? It's like a zucchini pancake.
Give me a break. And I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm just saying that, under new counts and under new views of the election results, we won the election.
But Raffensperger, who's seen threats to his life over all of this, said no way.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
The Georgia Secretary of State continued to reject the president's wild claims of election fraud on Good Morning America.
Well, did you consider it a lawful request when the president asked you to find the votes?
I'm not a lawyer. All I know is that we're going to follow the law, follow the process. Truth matters, and we've been fighting these rumors for the last 2 months.
There are many who believe that it is no accident that President Trump has focused many of his claims of fraud on Fulton County, the largest in the state. It isn't just a blue county, it's also a largely black county, and the president is being accused of trying to overturn the minority vote.
Fulton County is totally corrupt because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before.
Later in the call, President Trump...
Like, people get outraged over this and they go, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. It's like, have you met conservatives, dude? Like, American elections have literally, since its beginning, have revolved around calculating how many black people or what percentage of the black vote should matter. Okay? From the 3/5 rule all the way to the civil rights movement and it just every part of American history has always revolved around conservatives literally trying to find a way to be like, no, we should just like make sure that black people are not counted at all. Kind of a big deal. So what Donald Trump is doing here is just basically the same exact shit where he's like, come on, the black people are voting. They're cheating. We gotta purge that. Stop it. We gotta stop it. Also, it's top of the hour every hour. 60-second ad break. And I gotta go up again as I made a promise to myself and the stream that I stretch a little bit at the top of every hour for like 10 minutes. So if you'd like to no longer see the ads, all you can do is subscribe or use an ad blocker. Here's the ad.
Even suggests that by refusing to hand the president the November election, Raffensperger was hurting the chances of Republicans running in the runoff.
And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. You would be respected, really respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
What's happening in Georgia is a perfect storm. It is a telenovela in the making. It's got to be confusing for Republican Georgia voters to hear that the elections in Georgia are not trustworthy and are fraudulent and have been manipulated. And then wonder, ask themselves, well, then why should I bother to go out and vote?
Tonight, President Trump is still holding on to his false claims of fraud.
I do legitimately believe that this is like wishful thinking. I'm sorry. I do think that this is wishful thinking. This notion that Republicans are just like not going to go out and vote. I mean, because the race is so close, it might still end up securing a victory for the Democrats, maybe. Any number of Republican voters that don't go out and fucking vote is still good. What? Sant Peckerhead, go fuck yourself, dude. You don't know shit. Go back overseas, commie. What? What the fuck is going on? Why is everyone lost their minds in my fucking chat today?
And still talking poorly about state officials who are literally speaking truth to power.
There's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way. But I'm going to be here in a year and a half, and I'm going to be campaigning against your governor and your crazy Secretary of State. That I can tell you.
I mean, we are a party of law and order.
Georgia's Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, who's both a Republican and a Trump supporter, says he wishes someone at the White House could have kept the president from making that phone call right before the election.
What do you think about the possibility of folks looking into whether or not the president broke a law with that phone call?
I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to let the lawyers go figure that out, but I am qualified to tell you that that was an inappropriate phone call. The longer that we try to use the excuse of voter fraud and misinformation to be the reason why we lost this presidential election, the longer it's going to take.
Like, again, wild that they're like acting like Republicans don't routinely lie about election integrity in an effort to justify voter suppression, which is basically what they've done. And part of the reason why Donald Trump is upset, by the way, you have colorized users without color set gray names enabled in Chatterino. So gray names are assigned a color. Oh no!
Take for us to build our next platform.
Duncan is part of a group of Republicans who run this state and will tell you to your face that Joe Biden won the election here and that saying so is what's right.
This is all about trust. I've got to look in the mirror, but more importantly, I've got to look at my three boys in the face. I spent all day trying to tell them to do the right thing. Always do the right thing. I can't imagine walking in that house.
Bro, you're literally a Trump supporter, dude. Like, what do you mean look at your boys in the face and do the right thing? There's like 700 things that Donald Trump did that you still supported him and you voted for him in the 2020 election. Like, you're still a piece of shit. I don't know where this is coming from, where people are like, oh, well, I guess like they're doing the right thing now. It's like, bitch, what do you mean they're doing the right thing now? Like, it's nuts.
One night and telling them, yeah, I know I couldn't do the right thing today because the president was leaning on me.
The 45-year-old says he's confident his two candidates can win despite the drama from Pennsylvania Avenue.
I can't think of a single scenario where that phone call for 62 plus minutes made any sort of difference in getting David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler reelected. But hopefully there's enough Republicans that hang on tomorrow to show up and vote them in and represent our values.
Historically, Democrats rarely win runoff elections in Georgia. It's hard to get voters on the blue team to vote twice. But former gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams says this is the year of the donkey.
With the national attention and national investment, as well as having a Georgia infrastructure, we were able to build a coalition in November that is going to help us come close to victory, if not take it all the way. Hey, I hope you voted.
Abrams believes that her team has found the key to winning.
We certainly were one of the most diverse battleground states, but that diversity is only opportunity if we don't do the work to harness it. We were able to bring together a Latino population whose voting presence increased by 72% over 2016. For Asian American Pacific Islanders, it was a 91% increase. For African Americans, it was a 20% increase.
Did you vote in the election?
Oh, yes.
It's a population shift that isn't lost on Andrew Yang. This Democrat who ran for president moved his family to Georgia at the end of last year to help get out the vote in minority communities.
The Asian American community is the fastest growing non-white community in Georgia, but also the entire country. So it would be no exaggeration to...
There you go, Yang Gang. Pog! Pog! It's Andrew Yang! Pog! He's gonna be the next president. Pog!
say that Asian Americans are now the swing vote in swing states like Georgia. Are you ready to vote on January 5th? Of course, yeah.
Yang spent a month knocking doors and holding rallies around the state for Ossoff and Warnock with other popular Democrats like Martin Luther King III.
I grew up the son of immigrants, and my parents did not discuss American politics in the home. And I have a feeling that many Asian Americans are growing up the same way I did.
My parents are from Nigeria. Politics were always discussed.
Wow,
American politics were a constant discussion. And it's funny because that kind of underlines the point you're making. It's something I don't think people realize and sort of underlines the need for the extra effort, right?
It's very easy to ignore politics if it seems like politics is ignoring you. If campaigns invest in reaching out to you in your community, that actually can change the dynamic very, very quickly.
On the other side, last month, newly elected Republican Congresswomen Michelle Steele and Young Kim, both Korean American, were in Georgia reaching out to voters for Senators Loeffler and Perdue.
Activating Asian Americans to participate in our political process and vote is something that's long overdue.
For many Georgia voters, there's a feeling that outsiders like Yang are a little too much in the state's business.
Has anybody seen Senator Perdue?
With more than $500 million spent by both sides on attack ads, the often nauseating clips are to this very moment inescapable here.
That's their goal. Total radical control.
On television, on the radio, on every phone in the state.
He is looking out for all Georgians.
I don't dislike Andrew Yang, for those of you who are wondering. I just think that his fan base is a little out of control and a little wild. And I think that his idea of UBI is, or I think his assessment of all the issues that America is facing are good and on the money, but his solutions oftentimes require using UBI as a displacing measure, and I think that that's incredibly reactionary and horrible. Or originally, in its original inception, his UBI was displacing. His funding vehicle is also a regressive tax. It taxes the working poor. I think that the value-added tax in and of itself is not the best measure, the best way to try to tax Amazon. It replaces welfare when it should be added on top of welfare. It also triggers the fuck out of Andrew Yang fans when I say all this stuff, and people get mad at me. I do think that he has overall good intentions, though.
Even the people from Georgia appearing in them are tired.
I'm in a David Perdue ad myself. I'll be looking forward not to seeing myself on television on January 6th.
49-year-old Marcy McCarthy only joined the Republican Party in 2015 after Trump announced his run.
Donald J. Trump talked about making America great again, and I have the same belief overall.
She says she still stands with the president and supports the Republican candidates.
I actually have never lost confidence in President Trump. On the contrary, I'm really impressed that he's fighting to save our country by restoring the integrity in our elections.
She is one of the many Americans who believe the election was stolen from the president, but she also thinks it's important to vote to make sure Republicans can stop Democrats in Washington.
By staying home, you're essentially giving Democrats a win, and you're going to end up voting for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock if you stay home.
There's a lot of healing that people are hoping comes after the votes are counted and the winners are declared in Georgia, and many people here will be quite happy to watch the spotlight leave.
Even through this process that's been difficult, I'm proud to be a Georgian. I'm proud of our effort at this point and really put the 11 million Georgians first and not any sort of personalities or not any sort of personal agendas. We're proud to be Georgians, and we're going to continue to be proud to be Georgians all the way through the finish line tomorrow.
It's your Republican. You have nothing to be proud
I
of.
wanted to ask you, I've been hearing a little bit about early voting and Republicans not getting
This is what everybody wanted. Here you go. The real sex machine. The real sex god. Steve Kornacki, he's back. Steve the Khaki Kornacki is back and being sexy as hell.
the numbers they need from rural areas before Election Day. Of course, though, those numbers are usually low, are they not? And we would expect more day of voting for the Republicans.
Yeah, and that's what this is coming down to, Joe, and thank you. It's great to be back here for a big election day. And yeah, it is. It's a story you've heard in 2020, in 2018, in 2016. We've seen this in the early voting period here in Georgia, where Democrats have liked the numbers they've seen. They've liked some of the demographic indicators they're getting. And what this is coming down to is just a question of what is the turnout going to look like today? How many people are going to show up? How Republican? We know it's going to be we are almost certain it's going to.
Polls are closed.